Hi. Okay, so what is our key differentiator? Well, it's account intelligence. It's the heart of smarter go-to-market, and we are the leaders in account intelligence. Account intelligence starts with more sources, privacy compliant sources. We combine the customer's first-party data, our third-party data, and behavioral data, and we apply artificial intelligence, machine learning, and something called triangulation, which we'll talk about a little bit more later. And we're able to produce the most relevant and reliable intelligence that's ready to use across our customers' channels and systems. Account intelligence is really the answer to account blindness. Think about it. You can't see, you don't know enough about your accounts, and the answer is intelligence about those accounts. And when we activate it through our clouds, that is smarter go-to-market. Now, others will say that they have account intelligence, and indeed, some of our competitors out there do have a form of account intelligence, but the truth is we own it. Ours is actually smarter. Now, that's not a typo. I've had people say it sounds too redundant, but it's true. Our intelligence is smarter, and that's why we capitalize it as account intelligence, even though we're not legally allowed to trademark it. Ours is special. Now, you're probably asking, well, what is it that makes our account intelligence smarter? And that's what we're going to talk about on this next slide. So I'm going to sit on this slide for just a little while because there's a lot of information here. There's already a lot on the slide that you see, but I want to dive into each one of these just a little bit because, again, you'll go out there and compete against others who will say, well, we have technographics, we have intent, but they aren't all equal. Not all intent is equal, not all technographics are equal, and so forth. So we'll talk about each one of these just a little bit. You won't be surprised to hear me say that our technographics are the best in the industry. But let me step back for just a moment and say, what are technographics? Because some of you may not know what that even means. You'll also hear it referred to as technographic data or just tech data. It's a profile of the technologies that a company has installed. So it can be super important for something like if your solution only works with certain technologies, wouldn't you like to know which companies out there use those technologies? And that can narrow down your pool of ideal customers to go after. So our technographic data was tested by our data scientists before we bought the company that produced it. So let me say that again. We tested all the different technographic providers out there, and Demand Matrix was one of them, and we found theirs to be the best. So we acquired the company. That's how good their technographic data is, and now that's our technographic data. We cover both front-end and back-end technologies. What that means is the technologies in front of a firewall and then that's behind it. And most other providers focus on the front end because those are easier to identify. It's harder to figure out what's back there behind that firewall where you're not supposed to be probing. But we have our own AI that has helped us to determine what's behind the firewall. So we're able to give you a more breadth of the technologies that a company has. We're also able to take it a step further after that. So we can tell you what technologies a company is likely to buy next, how much they're likely to spend, and a number of other things around technographics. It's a true differentiator for us. Our intent data, what makes that special? Well, for one thing, we derive our own intent signals, which is kind of uncommon. Most buy them from another company that specializes in intent data. And we bring to the market both the flexibility and breadth of what's keyword intent data with the relevance of curated intent data. So most companies do one or the other. Most companies either provide keyword data, which essentially as a consumer of that, you can say, these are keywords that matter to us. We want to know companies that are searching on these keywords. And they can help you find those companies, but if they haven't curated what they find for relevance, they may give you a lot of data, but it could be a word that was used in a different way in a piece of content, and that isn't really the point of what they're consuming, and therefore it's not really super valuable information. Or you have companies that do curate their intent data, but because it can be a labor-intensive thing to do, they're only able to do it at a much smaller scale. And we have found a way, one, because we have access to billions of signals monthly, we're able to do the keyword intent data, that huge volume, the breadth and flexibility. And we've developed AI to do the curation, at a much faster pace, which gives us this fabulous intent data that is both broad and flexible and also highly relevant. Okay, account identification. We have a highly accurate account identification. And the way we know that is because we win the majority of our bake-offs against competitors. It means when we're identifying anonymous web visitors. We have the only DSP that's built for B2B. So you may not know what a DSP is. It's demand side platform, and it's the ad technology that we use to do targeted advertising. We have the only DSP built specifically for B2B. So you might say, why does that matter? Well, it enables our customers to balance their budget across the accounts that matter to them. So think about it. If somebody's using a B2C platform, they're targeting individuals, they could use up all their budget on just a few accounts because those accounts have a lot of individuals out surfing the web and they've spent their whole wad on just a few. But we have the technology to be able to say, we're going to spend so much towards this account, that account, that account. So it spreads your budget across the account and the individuals within those accounts. We're also able to give you metrics at the account level, which a B2C platform can't do. So you will not only know how many people you've reached with your targeted advertising, but you'll also be able to tell, have you reached the right accounts, the ones that really matter to you. Our company and contact data is the most relevant and reliable out there. And the reason is that we use a methodology that's multi-sourced, triangulated, and validated. And what that means is that we pull our data from many sources. So you think about it, if you just pulled it from one source, your chances of having errors are astronomical compared to pulling from many and then comparing those sources and looking for what they agree about. And that's what we call triangulation. It's looking for what is the most likely bit of data to be accurate when you pull from all those different sources. And it's the only way to validate massive amounts of data at scale. We have sophisticated AI and machine learning, which explains the things above, because that's the only way we're able to deliver those things. We derive insights from billions of signals per month across billions of IP addresses. And then lastly, because we own and process this extraordinary volume and variety of data, it's like a virtuous circle. It's always improving itself. For example, our account identification powers company-specific targeting on our DSP. Then billions of transactions from our DSP feed into our intent data, and then our intent signals improve the targeting and bid optimization on our DSP, and so on and so on. So all that data keeps sharpening itself. So that's a lot to take in at one time. If you want to learn more about what makes our intelligence so smart, we have a Smarter Intelligence page on the website, and you see the URL there on this slide.